Hello and welcome to this little breakdown on how I made my recent Portal animation. Now, I normally don't do these breakdowns, but I worked very hard on this animation and the video popped off, so thank you for that. Now, this video, despite looking 2D, like at all times, it is in 3D software. I used Blender, very popular 3D software. Now, where this Portal 1 video came from was basically all my problems I had with my Portal 2 animation that I did. The Portal 2 animation is where the art style came from, where the general ideas and humor came from. But it had a lot of issues. For one, the art style wasn't defined enough. The backgrounds are I wanted them to be detailed, like in the Portal 1 animation, while the characters and anything you're supposed to look at is more cartoony. However, I didn't really lean into it enough, and there was just a lot of flat colors. And another thing is my process for the Portal 2 one is I'd make a scene in the 3D viewport, I would animate it, I would render it out, and then I would reset it and work on the next scene. And the problem with that is I couldn't go back and fix any problems, if there were any. And believe me, there were problems. Plenty of animation mistakes. And then, once it was all done, I put it into a video editor and just clipped them together, added any effects that I needed to. But the more times I rendered it out, and with all the flat colors and everything, it meant that compression was a big problem. It ended up being over compressed, and then YouTube compression was even worse. So yeah, that's pretty much what happened there. So my solution to all that was, one, make the backgrounds more detailed by using the actual maps from the game, and to keep it from being rendered out all in one, to keep it from being like rendered over and over again, from rendering all the different scenes, it's all in one viewport, where if I just scroll, it's all one continuous animation. It just switches cameras when it needs to. If I zoom out, you can actually see stuff being loaded in and out of existence to save on render times as needed, and things being moved around off camera for when I need them. So plenty of techniques, just stuff being loaded in and out of existence. You got animated textures. You got from either procedural or video textures, and then you just got all that sorts of stuff. Now, as you can see here, now that I have this loaded in, you got like Chell here, who is actually a 3D model, as you can see by the little rig skeleton. So even though she's viewed in 2D, it means that if you view her in 3D, she's your sleep paralysis demon. Her arms aren't connected to her body, neither is her face. Her legs are front and back leg instead of left and right. But in 2D, it looks alright. Now, I'm going to be honest, they're not the most flattering characters. However, it really works in this specific art style because everything else is detailed, so it makes the characters pop out extra. And if I find it, you even have one frame where Chell is actually facing towards the camera, and I manually had to move her arms and legs to be in more natural positions. Oh, and face too. And I say natural positions, but there's nothing natural about that. Take your screenshots now, folks. Alright. So another thing, with this is for the textures, most people would do like toon shading or cell shading with this, but I actually used emission textures, which are unique in a way because they actually emit light rather than just being flat like a cell shading would be, which means you get these reflections off the environment, which is really cool. Now, one thing with them emitting light means that because I had bloom on for this animation, which I haven't really done before. I've done it a few times, but not often. It means that I had to mess with the strength of the textures so they wouldn't emit bloom, so only the ones I want to would emit. Now let's talk about this Chell model in particular, actually, if I go back to the beginning, because that's like the closest look you got at it, it's actually not the same model I used for my Portal 2 animation. It started out as that, but I made so many changes to it that I call it its own new model. One, the textures have been cleaned up. She's way less pale. Her hair is more brown now, when before it had a lot of red tones in it. And now the ponytail is a separate model that can be animated, which is good because it means it can react to physics. Now, there's no physics simulation in this. Everything is hand animated, so that's just even more work that goes into this. See, with most of my projects, yeah, I don't want any mistakes, but this one, because of how I felt about the Portal 2 one, I literally went over this animation frame by frame multiple times to make sure that there's no mistakes. And when I say that everything was in the 3D engine, I mean everything. Like this explosion, it's just on a plane placed in front of the camera, and so is like all the text and everything. Yeah, it's really just neat, the kind of stuff you see. Also, the as quick as possible text is way back here, and then the actual title is up here, the Portal title. And when I made this animation, I really just wanted to make sure that I had every detail included. Well, not every detail, but just all the important parts of Portal, because it is as quick as possible. So I was going to be skipping over a lot. So I just made sure to have the intro of the game. So yeah, just the very beginning, followed by getting the portal gun, followed by the first time you encounter like momentum, because that's a big deal in that part of the game. And then this part, I actually have her going out of bounds. That's what this whole floating bit in the dark black void is supposed to represent. It's supposed to represent going out of bounds like a speedrunner would. And then, of course, upgrading the portal gun, then the companion cube with your sad zoom in. And then, of course, the fire. And I'm just scrolling through all of this. And then I didn't include the first time you encounter turrets, but I included the big room at the end of the game where you have lots of turrets, because you gotta use your own brain to figure out momentum or taking out the turrets, and you gotta do it very fast, because otherwise you're gonna get shot down. And I thought that was just a more memorable turret moment. And then one more nod to speedrunners in the GLaDOS boss fight. The turret is what kills GLaDOS rather than a rocket turret. So I just thought that would be fun. And if you actually look more toward, if I go to a cleaner view without the explosion, you can see more green in the top half of the screen, and that's supposed to be the neurotoxin. It's just some green fog, and it goes away after GLaDOS is dead. And then it just fades to white, and that's just a plane with a texture that I'm changing the color of on the spot. And then you can now play as Luigi, which I just thought would be a funny meme. And then the most important part, Hoopy. I knew from the very beginning that I wanted Hoopy to be included. Also, props to Hoopy for also being hand animated. Everything's hand animated, even this little flame. Also, this flame was an afterthought. It just uses the orange portal texture. I don't even think I can select it. Oh, it's because I'm in pose mode. There we go. Yeah, it just uses the orange portal texture because this flame was an afterthought. But even this flame is animated. And as Chell comes on screen, and she blows it out, if I keep holding right, yeah, it starts to be animated more wildly, but going the direction she's blowing. And then it goes out. And if you're wondering how I made her blow, I actually just rotated and scaled up her mouth. So, yeah, that's why it's viewed in 2D. Now, I had to make her more expressive than in my Portal 2 animation, so that's more changes I made to her model and whatnot, and just to the way she moves. And the reason I had to make her more expressive is because for my Portal 2 animation, I had Wheatley and GLaDOS, who are prominent characters in Portal 2, to rely on, especially Wheatley. I still think my Wheatley model holds up really well. I don't need to make any changes to him. But, in Portal 1, GLaDOS is only at the very end of the game, and she's not as expressive as she is in Portal 2, and so I had to update Chell to be able to just move more, like have more options for movement, and the blinking and the hair makes the biggest difference in my opinion, and plus the fact she's just moving around. Now with the sound, because I wanted to show sound too, so if I open the video editor, I'll just change this to the 3D viewport so you still got something to look at. Where's the 3D? It's literally the first one. So we still got something to look at. You can actually see that every sound is accounted for, even stuff that's only on for a few frames. You got like all the explosions, and this bottom one is actually a white noise that's in the background through the whole thing. And I use this sound in pretty much all my videos, and nobody even notices it. Because even though people are like, why would you want white noise? Wouldn't you want a denoise? Well, it's one of those things that, in video production and whatnot, and movie production, they just call it, it's perfect imperfections. And there's even music all from Portal going throughout it, but for the most part, it's very quiet. And then you also got every time the portal gun is on screen, you got the sound of the portal gun, ambient sound, and that goes the entire time that the portal gun is on screen. So really, you got noises for when you upgrade the portal gun. Whenever she's falling, you get the whoosh sound effect. You got portal entering, portal leaving, portal gun shooting for the orange portal and for the blue one. Everything is accounted for. Each individual footstep sound I added, and I made sure it only played when she took a step. Yeah, I was very careful with this one. Now, I think that's about it for as far as talking points that I have. So if you have any more ideas for me, like video ideas, whatever it is, and if you liked this video too, because I normally don't do these breakdowns, just tell me in the comments, whatever, especially animation ideas, because, animations take a long time. I got a full-time job, so so I can't work on them all the time, but I do when I'm able to. So yeah, but if you enjoyed this, and just thanks for the support again, just keep liking it, keep giving me ideas, keep talking, because that's how we build connections here. But anyway, have a nice time. Bye bye.